This is Sonic, a blue hedgehog who spends 90% of his life eating chili dogs and making one quest he does to make scientist's life absolutely miserable. One day, he's casually running through green hills when he slams face first into a little toaster. Turns out, Dr. Ivy Robotnik, better known as Eggman, because look at him, is suffering innocent animals inside robot toaster so he can take over the world. Naturally, Sonic starts smashing every single one while collecting shiny rocks called Chaos Emeralds, because every video game apparently needs magical collectibles. Eggman eventually shows up and somehow thinks giant metal balls are the perfect weapon against the fastest thing alive. 5 seconds later, his Eggmobile explodes, his evil plan fails, and Sonic goes back to eating chili dogs. Eggman, however, takes his loss very personally. Unfortunately for him, this will become the recurring problem for the next 30 years. Sonic heads to another island only to find even more toaster robots made by the son of a chud, Eggman. Out of nowhere, a two-tailed fox starts following him. This is Tails. He got bullied for having two tails, so naturally he decides to follow the fastest thing alive instead. Sonic eventually decides to let him tag along, and now the blue hedgehog is an emotional support engineer. Tails is basically Furry Einstein and can somehow build a plane before hitting Pluto. After blasting through way too many zones, Eggman reveals his latest disaster, a team with Death Star called the Death Egg to stop him. Sonic first fights a robot version of himself because originality is overrated. Then a giant robot, so Sonic pulls 7 Chaos Emeralds out of his pocket, turns into Super Sonic, and completely nerfs the Death Egg. Eggman loses again, but somehow this guy keeps getting funding. Sonic visits Little Planet, a planet that literally appears once a year because normal planets are apparently too mainstream. Eggman sees this as the perfect opportunity to take over entirely, because taking over Earth clearly wasn't good. Sonic then meets Amy, a girl who develops a crush on him after approximately 5 seconds. Before she can even introduce herself, Metal Sonic kidnaps her. He's basically Sonic if he skipped therapy and became an anime fan. To race through Stardust Speedway, Metal Sonic gets absolutely cooked. Amy is saved, and Eggman is once again forced to retreat with another massive L. At this point, Eggman has spent more money losing to Sonic than most people spend on houses. Remember Sonic 2? Yeah, the Death Egg crashed straight onto Angel Island. There Eggman meets Knuckles, the guardian of the Master Emerald. Seeing the giant shiny rock, Eggman immediately decides he wants it because apparently one bolt isn't enough. So he tells Knuckles that Sonic is trying to steal the Master Emerald, and Knuckles believes him without asking a single question. The second Sonic arrives, Knuckles punches the absolute life out of him, knocks him out of Super Sonic, and steals all of his Chaos Emeralds. For the rest of the game, Knuckles keeps getting in Sonic's way while Eggman secretly rebuilding his team with Death Star. Eventually, Knuckles realizes he's being scammed, teams up with Sonic and Tails, and they storm the Death Egg together. And if you collected every Super Emerald, Sonic unlocks Hyper Sonic, a form so overpowered, Sega basically pretends it's never happened. Meanwhile, Eggman learns nothing and prepares another terrible idea. Now Sega really be cooking absolute peak. After losing for the 3rd time in a row, Eggman decides robots aren't hitting him anymore. So he releases an ancient water monster named Chaos, because that's obviously a great idea. Eggman keeps feeding Chaos the Chaos Emeralds until the giant puddle turns into Godzilla. Meanwhile, a ghost named Tikal keeps showing up to dump thousands of years of lore onto Sonic. Turns out Chaos isn't evil, he's just really bad, because people messed with his childhood friends. Chaos floods an entire city, becomes perfect chaos, and nearly destroys everything. So Sonic turns super, eats up the world's angriest glass of water. Chaos calms down, Eggman somehow survives another game, and you would think fighting an ancient water god would make him quit. But this is Eggman we're talking about. On the space colony Ark, a mysterious black hedgehog that looks suspiciously like Sonic breaks out of a capsule. This is Shadow. He tells Eggman he'll help him conquer the world, like it's somehow his to give away. Eggman immediately raids a military base because apparently that's just what he does now, and steals a Chaos Emerald. Meanwhile, Gun arrests Sonic because they're apparently incapable of telling two hedgehogs apart. Oh yeah, and Grease shows up. She's basically a government spy with a jewelry addiction. Shadow convinces Eggman to activate the Eclipse Cannon. Eggman thinks he'll use it to rule the world, because apparently after losing 5 times, Eggman still thinks taking over the world is a realistic career opportunity. Instead, it blows a giant chunk out of the moon. Then Eggman discovers his grandpa programmed the Ark to crash into the Earth because he had some serious unresolved issues. Shadow finally remembers Maria wanted peace not revenge, so he teams up with Sonic. The two go super, save the planet, and Shadow falls back to Earth looking deader than my upload schedule. Also, the moon has been missing a massive chunk even since, and Sega just pretends nobody noticed. The moon is damaged, Eggman releases again, and somehow he still gets invited to the next game. Next, Sega releases Sonic 06, and somehow the story is even more broken A hedgehog from the future named Silver travels back in the time because an edgy shadow demon monster convinced him Sonic caused the apocalypse. So Silver spends the entire game trying to kill the wrong god. Meanwhile, Eggman keeps kidnapping Princess Elise like he thinks he's Bowser. Shadow eventually discovers the real villain is Memphis, because apparently we didn't have enough hedgehogs already. Sonic literally dies, everyone starts panicking, and a sun god is born. And somehow, all 3 hedgehogs go super. They beat God himself, and then Elise blows out a tiny flame. The timeline gets reset, and Sega pretends none of this happened. Honestly, even Sonic wanted to forget this one. After accidentally deleting an entire timeline, Eggman decides to calm down by blowing the planet into pieces. He trades the Chaos Emeralds, wakes up an ancient god named Dark Gaia, and literally cracks the earth like an egg. As a bonus, Sonic turns into a werewolf because... sure. He then meets up with tiny flying marshmallow named Chip, who forgot he's actually the god protecting the planet. They spend the entire game gluing the earth back together. Chip remembers he's like Gaia, and Sonic goes super Dark Gaia. And somehow, this isn't the weirdest thing that's happened in the Sonic. Remember when Sonic was just fighting toaster robots? Yeah, those were simpler times. After accidentally deleting one timeline and literally cracking the earth in half, Sonic gets stuck into cyberspace and wakes up on the Starfall Islands. There he meets Sage, Eggman's AI daughter, who's somehow more emotionally mature than Eggman himself. Turns out, the Chaos Emeralds are actually alien rocks brought to Earth by an ancient civilization called the Ancients. They built giant titans to seal away the cosmic entities called the End, because apparently beating God is just another Tuesday for Sonic. So Sonic goes super 4 different times, beats up skyscraper-sized robots, fights literal death itself, saves the universe, and somehow Eggman ends up being a better dad than Bowser. So after fighting robots, aliens, gods, time itself, and literal death, Sonic returns to doing what he does best, eating chili dogs and waiting for Eggman to ruin his day. If you like this video, maybe you would want to watch the Mario in a Nutshell video I made. Consider liking or subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.